So let's look into the lookup functions, a basic lookup function, HLookup and VLookup, how these functions work. We'll try to understand these functions by looking at the formula of these functions. So before that, let's have some data. Let's create our own data to understand how it works. Say let's have the student's data. So this is the data. Now first we'll look at how the lookup function works. So if you see the arguments of this function, the first argument is the lookup value, the next is lookup vector, and the third one is the result vector. The lookup function, basically what it will do is it will look up for the value which we are mentioning in this lookup value in the row or a column which we are mentioning as the lookup vector, and it will retrieve the corresponding the resultant vector, the row or a column which we are mentioning in the resultant vector. The result will be retrieved from this row or a column. A value which is present in this resultant vector will be retrieved to the user by this function. This is what this lookup function basically works. It has these two syntax. The first one is this and the second one is this. The first one is the most commonly used and it's best to always use this first one. So let's look into how we can make use of this to understand how it works. And the rule which has to be followed while using this function is the lookup vector, whichever the row or a column we are mentioning as the lookup vector here, that data has to be sorted out in the ascending order. Then only this function will work correctly, otherwise it will fetch the wrong result. So we should always remember that this lookup vector, row or a column which we are mentioning here should be sorted in ascending order. Okay, let's start. Say I want to fetch the roll numbers of the students. So this is the table which we have already. this is the data of students which is present already, and we want this information. I have a list of students, but I want to find the roll numbers. I cannot see it manually and I can't find it. In that case, we can make use of this vector function, lookup function. So let's see how to use this. Lookup value. So which one we want to look at, which has to be searched in this table. The lookup vector, where it has to be searched. In this column it has to be searched. And the resultant vector, actually I want to retrieve the roll numbers. So this is the column which we are mentioning as the resultant vector. So this is the right roll number of student G. We have it here. So similarly for other students, you can just copy it and paste it. When we are copying and pasting it here, you can note that we have got the wrong result, like we haven't got the correct result here. It has happened because if you see, when you're copying and pasting it, the range of cells which we have mentioned here, it keeps incrementing when we are copying and pasting. But it should not get incremented because the cell range has to be kept constant, this one. So what to do for that? In this case, we can make use of the names concept. We can define this range, a particular name, and we can make use of that name in this function. So how to define a name, I have actually mentioned it in a separate video. We can look into that video to understand that, and you can define the name here. See, so here G5 to G11. So this student's name, this one we have to define a name. Say we can give this as students. And the resultant vector, this one we can give it as roll number. I'm replacing this students and the roll number, and I'm copying this now, and we have got the right result for all the students. So that's all about the lookup function. This is how it works. Next we'll look into the vertical lookup function. Vertical lookup, as the name suggests, the function is going to search vertically, row by row it's going to search. So if we have the data which is arranged vertically in this manner, then this data which we have created, it is present vertically. So in this case we can go for vertical lookup. I'm going to look for the student's name for the roll numbers which I have. Vertical lookup will always look for the first column in our data. HLookup will look for the first row which we are mentioning as a table. So let's look into the function how it looks. VLookup. Lookup value, table array. So table array is this table. This we have to mention it as a table. So I'm not going to mention it as a range. Instead, I'm going to define the name for the range to avoid the error which we got earlier. Let me first define the name for this. And it as data 1. Lookup value is the roll number. Table array is data 1. The column index number is the column number of this table. Here I want to retrieve student's name, so I'm giving it as 3. So we have got the student name of the roll number 7. So similarly we have fetched the student's name of the roll numbers. So that's it about the VLookup function. Let's look into HLookup. So for HLookup we need to have the data horizontally. Let's have the data first. We have the data. Now we'll use the function. So it will look for the first row in the table, that is the roll number. Say for, let's retrieve the register number of these roll numbers. So these are the arguments. Lookup value is this roll number. This roll number will be searched in this table, and the row index number is the register number, which will be mentioning it as 2. So first let's create a name for this data. Data 2. HLookup. lookup values is roll number, index number, that is 2, because I want to look at the register numbers. If I want the student's name, I'll be mentioning the row index number as 3. As I want register number, I'm giving 2. So we have got the register number of this roll number. I can just copy and paste it. We have retrieved the register numbers for these roll numbers. That's it about the lookup functions.